15th, 2025, Redmond Public Schools School Board meeting. Tonight in attendance, we have Jim Bryant. Here. Kayla Henderson.
Here.
Jeremy Koenig.
Here.
Teresa Bjornstad.
Here.
Rachel Schoenfelder.
Here.
Jennifer Tift.
Here.
Superintendent Joshik. Here. And myself, Ryan Reister. Rachel, would you please read the vision statement?
Redmond Public Schools cultivates an inclusive learning community where each student develops the knowledge, skills, and character needed to thrive as an engaged citizen, innovative thinker, and compassionate leader in an interconnected world.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Jennifer Tift, second by Jeremy Koenig. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Kayla?
Aye.
Jeremy? Bruce?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
And I always vote aye. Motion passes. First thing up, we're gonna go to the student and school showcase.
So I'm gonna ask you to go out here, the students are on the far side of the wall, they asked us to be on this side.
Oh, just see him? All right. I can do that too, Karen.
Yeah, Carmen, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, I don't have children. That would be so fun. For kids. Yep.
I love that.
I would like that too. But I only have one. Oh, actually.
All right. Yeah, that was fantastic. Thank you for that. Next up, public comment. Is there any public comment tonight? All right, we'll move past that. Recreation and upcoming events.
I think the biggest thing with all of, again, there's so much activity that's going on. You can see what's going on with the performances that are coming up. I know that the Ovation Singers in particular have been very, very busy. They had their 10th event since Thanksgiving up until now. I think they finished that up this weekend, and they've still got several more that they've got yet to do. So they are definitely out there representing not only our school, but our community as a whole. Been to hockey games, basketball games, swim and dive. There's stuff going on all the time. This is a very, very busy time of year, as you can imagine. Coming up, we have winter break that starts after Friday, so that'll be a welcome respite there, and then things will crank up again before we know it, what's coming up. I guess those are kind of, again, some of the normal things that are just going on at all times. Well,
I have two that I just want to mention as well. So this Thursday, in addition to the choir concert here, we have a Dakota language speaker event at Twin Bluff. There's some of the few first language speakers in Dakota that will be visiting here. And then also Flight Path 2030 that we had to cancel last Tuesday due to the weather is going to be made up on January 12th. Same time, same location.
And Emily, that'll be on, they'll put that on social media.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
drawing a blank.
It's already in the
Yeah.
newsletter. You
Yeah.
Oh, it
can
is?
sign up.
Okay,
It was in this week.
and then when, the Dakota thing, is that Thursday?
Yes.
It's
this
Thursday
Thursday.
at 5:30 at Twin Bluff.
And there's food.
Food in the cafeteria at 5, and then 5:30 in the auditorium.
The food
So
is
you
always
need
good.
opportunity.
Mhm.
Yes,
And really.
but I'll be up
good
here with the
opportunity.
choir.
We were lucky to have the opportunity because they're flying in, will be in a different district on Friday, and we're able to come here on Thursday.
Thursday.
So
Thursday evening, 5:30,
5:30, Twin Bluff in the auditorium at 5:30.
Any more recognitions or upcoming events before we move on? All right. Administrative reports.
So if you go to your booklet there, there's always a lot there that we can kind of touch on, but this time of year, there's work that's going on with our students raising money typically for food shelves here in town. So Sunnyside, they had a benefit that they were working on here recently. There's just, again, there's always something going on. Twin Bluff, they've got students that are continuing to donate food to the BSU food drive that's going on. So BSU, the Black Student Union, has organized a food drive along with hygiene products to gather donations to get back to those in need. Student Council has raised thousands of dollars in donations so far this fall, and various students spread cheer and joy through laughter by finding folks to come tell those who are doing lunch. Now, if you come to a high school lunch and you're standing there supervising, I didn't realize this the other day until they come up and they've got their joke of the day that they will tell to try to get a smirk out of somebody. It's really kind of a fun little deal that they're working on. Again, just a ton of stuff that's going on in Twin Bluff. They've had their dance here the other night. Mr. Bierman, do you have a count on how many participated?
272 showed up, and we had absolutely 0 issues. And we had a new feature, which was really interesting, a 9-hole putt-putt course made with PVC pipe and wooden pieces. And it we're going to buy more balls and clubs because they weren't on their phones hanging out. It was stacked the whole night. And then after about an hour, we went and rearranged all the stuff, so it was a different course, and it was a hoot. I mean, I went back today and watched a little bit of the video, because I'm going, how many kids went? There were more kids on the golf course at one point than on the dance floor. I found interesting.
Was that a Mr. Richmond?
No, that was Mr. Hansen.
Oh, fantastic.
So it all breaks down into chunks of PVC, easily stored. The wood pieces are cut so they stack. I mean, Mr. Science guy, Bill Nye, is amazing when he starts thinking like that. So, great event.
Very cool.
So that's, again, they have 272 middle schoolers for several hours and not end up having any kind of disruption. That's really a great thing.
It was awesome.
So, terrific. Otherwise, you can kind of see things there. Emily had touched on the two primary ones there coming up. The one thing that is going on here now with activities, the transition to the HVL. So on that, we're making progress. So we're already getting involved in some of that governance pieces and some of those things, as planning is already underway for next year's activity. So anyway, lots of good things that are working along the way there.
But just a comment, maybe Ann's here too. You pack a lot of information into your report here, and you share it with us, and you just hit on some of the things. This is something that should be shared with the community more through the newsletter or something like that. How you can do it, I don't know, but there's some things that are past tense when you now. But I think that's something that could share with the community to show the things that we're doing here other than whatever they might hear.
Sure.
So,
And we can talk about that and figure out a way to incorporate that, so.
All right. Any further comments on the administrative reports? If not, we're gonna move right into the committee updates.
I went to a community education advisory committee meeting, and it was very interesting. Becky Norton was there, talking about preschool and all of the things that they do at Cobble. Very informative. Also discussing a little bit about our possible upcoming changes, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from her about the positives for that. But one thing that I thought was really fun was getting to listen to all of our different community partners share things that are going on in our community. They're just, we had History Center, Sheldon, United Way, Red Wing Art, City of Red Wing, the library, Red Wing Public Schools, YMCA, all sharing, things that are happening in our community. And I guess I just want to say thank you to those community members for taking their time to do that and for being such great partners with us as a district. We benefit so much from all of these community partnerships. Appreciate it.
Very good, thank you. All right.
negotiations going on. I think we meet next Monday, and then for the first of the year, so. Just the process. If anyone wants to take my spot, they certainly can. Just throwing it out there.
We'll cover that in a closed session. All right, there's no further committee updates. Let's move into the consent agenda. And do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So,
moved.
I'll second.
All right, moved by, motion made by Ms. Schoenfelder, seconded by Teresa Stevens.
Just a comment, please. I don't know, I think, I see Al Hartnick's name on here, and I think he's kind of went back and forth. He has been somebody that's here for more years than I can even begin to count. I think probably been here more years than some people on the board or even their age here, He's just been a rock here, coming in on weekends and all that, so we wish him the best in retirement, and let's hope everything is fine and he gets to go out and start doing something other than picking up after everybody.
Thank you for that. All All right, any further comments? Oh, no, yeah. Oh, yeah. Any further comments on the consent agenda? Let's do a roll call vote. Kayla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jim?
Yes.
And I also vote aye. Resolution passes. Next up is donations and grants.
So we have 4 that are in here this time. 2 of them are anonymous. One is the amount of $250 for the Reading football banquet for food. The other one was $1,250 for the same purpose. Danny Campbell donated $100 to the Native Americans, let's see, NASA, Native American Students Association. I'm not sure I get that right. And then Electro Assemblies LLC. So they donated this one. There's about 15 of these solar suitcases, and each case, they consist of it opens up and it exposes solar panels. So they're going to be utilized to kind of help students be able to understand the gathering of solar for electricity. So we don't have any idea what the amount was there, but it's got an inverter inside there, batteries. I have not seen them yet, but they sound really intriguing.
So will that tie into mechatronics or?
I don't know if it's gonna end up in mechatronics or if it's gonna end up in one of the tech programs somewhere, but, I know that, I believe Bill Emery is on the opposite there.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the grants and donations?
So moved with appreciation.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Bryant, seconded by Ms. Schoenfelder. All those in favor of accepting the donations and grants?
Need a roll call vote.
Okay. All right, Jennifer. Jim.
Aye.
Kayla.
Aye.
Mary. Terese.
Aye.
Rachel.
Aye.
And I also vote aye, resolution passes. All right, next up, superintendent report.
So I don't have much here. We had to forego our finance committee meeting this last week here because we had a conflict that couldn't get rearranged. So for the most part, the things that Chris and I have been working on, Chris in particular, but working on some of the things for the budget, obviously, that'll be coming up here. Looking at some of those parameters, some of the things that we believe are going to be in place. He has obviously been working on the truth and taxation presentation, as well as things for the levy. We cannot do the truth and taxation hearing until at least 6 p.m. So it would be my recommendation that at this point, we got about 10 minutes. And I would recommend that we review the audit at this point. That way we can move forward. All right, that sounds great. Chris, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, this is Craig Copenhagen from Clifton, Marshall Island. I'm here to review our financial statements with us.
Yep, come on up to the center there. You got something like that, I can help you with it.
Yeah, probably not handout. I don't know if it works to connect to mine or not.
Okay.
My laptop, does that work? Okay. So, we'll see if the technology cooperates here.
Good luck.
I know. I've been battling with it since I walked in, so it could be interesting. All right. So I've got. I don't know how to get it up on screen.
I don't know how.
Otherwise,
I think we need some of those high school kids back here.
yeah. If otherwise, I'll just kind of hit a few pages here. So,
So if you join the Google Meet, you can share that way.
cool.
I think I emailed you the invite.
Don't think so.
Chris, you can do that.
Chris is doing
Okay. Yep, all right. I'll just wait for this to come through. Sorry to be a pain.
Oh, you're all right.
It's worth waiting to get it up on the screen so everybody.
Yeah, it's a little easier to look at pictures and tiny little numbers.
I actually think the only thing that changed was the power cord. Oh. And not the owl.
Oh, okay.
See.
You connected to our Wi-Fi.
No, it is the owl that changed.
Just put that back in here first.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. You may want to join the Google Meet on your computer that Chris would have shared with you.
Wait, I was hoping it would come through.
You got him, Chris?
Should be.
Okay.
Are you connected? If you didn't connect to our Wi-Fi, though, you probably didn't go.
I was having problems with that. Let me try.
High school, yeah, should work.
Okay. I get to it through board agenda.
Nope, you got to go to your email because you've been invited to the Google Meet. You join via that and you'll share. No, I'm not seeing it.
That's not coming.
There it is.
There it is. All right, getting there.
And click yep, join right there.
Try a meeting with you. Then you're gonna wanna
Yep.
mute that.
Oh, get that.
Right, he should mute his computer, otherwise it's gonna,
Scream at us, right?
there you go. Yep. Oh, gotta mute.
Yep. Okay. Hey. All right. That one.
First, helping out with technical questions.
There it is.
There. All right. We made it. All right. So, I need to go back here. All right. So, audit summary. Where are we at? Clean opinion on the financials. No findings on internal controls. I had one finding on Minnesota legal compliance. Now, this one was an update of the same finding we had last year, which is, it's okay to have it repeat because basically the finding we had for statutory or Minnesota legal was there were some reconciling items, some long outstanding checks on your bank reconciliations that were outstanding for like more than 3 years. So those needed to get cleaned up. A year ago, that dollar amount was over 29,000. This year it is $147. So that is a very good progress on that. It's something that we have to test for specifically. during the audit, kind of at the behest of the state auditor's office. So if I didn't actually have to go test for it, I wouldn't report on $147. But this is a good one in this case because it shows a lot of progress made during this audit cycle. So very good.
Those outstanding checks that we wrote or that?
Yeah, would have been checks that the district wrote. So probably, I mean, to clear them up, usually it's a matter of you cancel the check that's out there and reissue a payment to the vendor. So, okay. Normally we would have a federal kind of what we call the single audit for you, federal compliance audit. So that was something that the final guidance had not been issued yet by the time we started the audit this fall. And then that all got caught up in the federal government shutdown for the next 8 weeks. So it's been recently released, but we got to go back and do our, basically our cross-checking to make sure nothing changed from what we thought the guidance was going to be to what the guidance is. So for that reason, we'll issue the federal compliance audit after the first of the year, calendar year here. So that's something that the Department of Education sent out basically an email communication that said, okay, we understand what the situation is. Keep your financial audit on schedule to be submitted by December 31st. Submit your federal compliance audit when it's available, no later than March 31st. So we want to get all of those out in January, but that's kind of where that's sitting. So I was really hoping this year would be back to normal after the start of COVID, but nope. Wait another year, maybe next year. We had a new auditing standard, a new accounting standard that was implemented and reflected in the financial statements this year for reporting compensated absences liabilities. So liabilities for things like vacation, sick pay, severance pay. This was a change in measurement. So that put a lot more kind of strain on, or more load on your business manager. So more fun for Chris to work through. That was fun. But yeah, everybody's in that boat this season. So that was new and different. Basically, in a nutshell, what basically Chris had to do is go through all the different bargaining units and then employee by employee and kind of remeasure the liability for those compensated absences, either what is going to be paid out when people leave or what you estimate people are going to use actually. So that was different. Couple more things coming next year. But for the next audit cycle, these are more presentation changes rather than measurement changes. So it's a little bit easier on your people. One is just presentation. And honestly, I think the presentation wise is not going to be much of an effect for school districts. So that will be good to get a little break from this year. General fund revenues, $40.9 million, pretty consistent with where, if you look at the same pie chart from last year, it's going to look pretty much the same. Just a couple things changed. Actually, the property tax levy actually decreased what was hit revenues for the 2025 cycle. So it actually decreased a little bit. Otherwise, federal also decreased federal revenues. So this was kind of the first full fiscal year without any kind of COVID aid running through. So federal was pretty much back to normal, operating as it did pre-COVID, honestly. Otherwise, other was a little bit higher. So athletics brought in more revenues. So that came through in the other category. So this is the 25 pie chart. this is what 24 looked like. So pretty much all the slices of the pie look pretty much the same. Expenditure wise, where did money go? So this is kind of looking at program expenditures. So total for general fund, $37.3 million about. What we're looking at is, if you kind of see in the lower right-hand side, it says regular instruction. So this is kind of where or what kind of programs you're spending on. So if we start with regular and work clockwise to vocational, special ed, instructional, pupil support, that tallies up almost 79% of your general fund budget is either going to instruction or supporting your students. That's actually about a full percentage point higher than it was a year ago. So dollar for dollar more going into instruction and support than what you did even a year ago. Administration, that spend is down a little bit between administration and district support. Otherwise, the other categories are pretty consistent. So I won't spend just a whole lot of time, but here's last year's. This would add up about 78% going to instruction and support. Unassigned, we'll break this fund balance down. I'll shift to fund balances a little bit. So fund balance is just basically resources remaining at the end of the school year that carry forward for future use. This year, your general fund, kind of your revenue budget, revenues came in over budget, so higher than what you estimated. Expenses came in for less than what you had budgeted for. So the revenue over budget, more attributed to special education, so more aid coming in for special ed. And then with the expenses being under budget, there were open positions, and then health insurance and purchase services came in a little bit under budget. So health insurance has been interesting. It's kind of been, some districts saw still substantial increases. A select few anyway, did not. So that's a positive. And the other thing here is that most of that, like your budget differences, you can see kind of reflected through your unassigned fund balance, which is unrestricted. So you have control over this one. Kind of your safety net, warm fuzzy blanket on a cold night kind of a thing. Restricted fund balances. This is more instruction type related restrictions. But here, basic skills is most of the increase. There's also a little bit of the increase in fund balance here is related to the READ Act. So there are a couple new tranches of funding through the READ Act, which was new for 24-25. Basic skills, I know you're kind of looking at some budgeting some usage for those dollars, coming up and going forward. Operating capital, so capital being the operative word, but basically not quote unquote instruction related, but more of a capital spend. And 2025 was a huge year for instructional, purchase of instructional technology equipment. So a big spend there. So you used your operating capital in 2025. LTFM behaving fairly normal. So LTFM is going to flux up and down. It's basically tied in with your 10-year capital plan, which you look at typically late summer, early fall timeframe and update that with the Department of Education. So depending on where projects fall, when they start versus either they start on schedule or maybe they don't, that also affects kind of when the expenses fall and the up and down. So typically LTFM type projects, you try to do those during the summer when students are not in the building. Food service. here had an increase in fund balance here as well. But you also had some capital spend at Sunnyside Elementary with a new freezer, cooler, some new equipment purchased there. The main point with food service is that basically it's supporting itself, so it's not requiring any kind of subsidy from the general fund. So it's not taking any money away from the classroom. And likewise, community education as well. There was some decrease in fund balance here, but again, community education is basically supporting itself. You have some good programs here and participation. So again, as with food service, it is not taking money away from the classroom. Debt service, your debt service fund, this is the fund that basically is financing the payments on your bonds. So principal payments on the balance of the bonds as well as the interest on those bonds. This one, again, is also performing basically as expected. So with the state of Minnesota, for state statutes, you have to levy 5% more than you're scheduled to have to pay on your loan balance and also pay for interest. So, your taxpayers, pay their taxes on time. And for that reason, you see generally a modest increase in debt service fund balance one year to the next. We'll shift over to take a quick look at the enrollment trends, but then also this kind of sets us up to look at a few expense stats in the next few slides. But kind of the trend here, and I know you're aware of this, but enrollment has been on a downward slide. That's been unfortunately kind of a common theme. So no surprise, it does affect your budgeting, and I know you're well aware of that. So I won't belabor that. But then we take those enrollment numbers and lift some expenses off the face of your financials and divide by the enrollment. It gives us some statistics on cost. Think of it as cost per student. So a few areas that we look at: district and school administration and support. Basically holding steady, so you're dividing by a slightly lower number of students, so correspondingly it calculates out a little bit higher. But excuse me, kind of how these work is the dark blue shaded bars are Red Wing, so the 5-year trend. The light blue shaded bar is other districts in the state having an enrollment between 2,000 and 4,000 students. And then the yellow shaded bar is all districts in the state, regardless of enrollment. What you can see comparatively for administration is you're spending less than other districts in the state. For instruction, that's a good number. So I wouldn't necessarily compare directly to what other districts are doing, but kind of reflect back to the pie chart. 79% of your spend is going to the classroom. So that's you're actually comparatively spending more, a higher percentage toward instruction than a year ago. And then budget wise, there are some open positions there. So your general fund budget came in, or expenses came in under budget. This one, special education, this one actually was more affected by the enrollment than anything else. But dividing by a smaller number of students kind of affected this one a little bit more. Also just being, a larger district and larger programs and what have you, you have comparatively more special education spend than other districts that, may not have as robust of a program as what you guys do. So that's what I have for prepared remarks. I think overall, good results for the audit. Had a transition in a very important position between Lisa and Chris, and that transition seemed to go well. Your processes are well established. So processes went well. So you change the names and everything continued to operate and work just fine. So
Good to hear.
What other districts are paying for their education? You said we're at 79%.
Typically, it's about 74 to about 77%. So, we have a few that are maybe in just over 80%, but not very many. So that 79% is a good number.
So at this point, because you guys have that delay that you can't help with, we're not able to approve a final audit tonight, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay, so for what we're gonna have to do, if you have any questions for Craig, please ask those at this time. But then we're gonna have to have a special meeting to approve the audit as soon as they get that stuff to us. And we'll go from there. But it has to be done before the 31st of August.
Yep.
Craig, would Craig be coming back down?
No, we'll be able to just, once we have that information, then we can just do that. He's provided the information that we need tonight.
So can we get a copy of this presentation?
Yep, absolutely. Actually, Chris has got it now, so.
And then we can email you that.
Sure.
So was it last year that we met? We had a Zoom.
Yeah.
Yep.
we had a
But
special meeting in order.
Jim and Rachel and I came up to the district office and we Zoomed to approve it.
You just have to have a quorum.
Yeah,
But we'll have to set a meeting date.
Assuming that this is gonna be done, would Monday the 29th, is that right?
That is 29th, I believe.
I think it's 2 weeks from today, yeah.
We can.
Well, and like I say, it's,
we have to wait.
we gotta wait until we get this. So we'll set that meeting. It'll have one item on the agenda. And should be a relatively.
5 or 6 minutes.
That's all.
So I will make sure we need one person in person. And everybody else can Zoom in. So if you're at work or, you don't have to come and disrupt your entire day.
Thank
I'll
you.
be following up with that date.
Thank you for your comments about our business manager. We're very happy to have Chris here. We enjoyed Lisa too, but we're very pleased with Chris here. So he's very good. Sounds like you're good to work with and we're very happy with him, so. Thank you for those kind
Should be.
words.
Our team always likes working, they like working on this
How much
audit.
did he pay you to say that?
No, that was a freebie.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
All right, thank you.
Got to switch anything back over, or we good?
I'm gonna stop sharing and yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, that should be it.
I just need to exit the meeting and we're good to go. I'm out. Thank you.
Let's say drive home.
Yes.
So now we're past 6, we're good here, let's go back to the truth and taxation hearing.
All right. So Lisa should be sharing the PowerPoint so everyone can see it, so we don't have to deal with the switching of computers again. So the TNT meeting, the presentation here is primarily geared towards the community, making the assumption that they know nothing about our district or the finances or the levy. So it's meant to be pretty basic in that way. And we'll just kind of run through the slides here. Could change to the next slide, please. So just to kind of go over the basics of the T&T statute that's already been completed at this point. We're required to send out property tax notices to each property owner in the county. That has to happen prior to the T&T meeting. The T&T meeting has to be held after 6 p.m. and it has to be held between November 25th and December 29th. And we're here tonight to fulfill those requirements. Next slide. Our little agenda for tonight, we, per the statute, we have to discuss the proposed levy, we have to discuss the current budget, and we have to give the community an opportunity to comment on those two items. Next slide. I'm not going to go into detail on this slide necessarily, but it's important to understand that the levy limitation report is extremely complicated. It's 39 pages long, 3 columns a page. It is very complex. The levy can change and our total revenue can stay the same. So that's all this slide is really saying. If you have any interest in understanding those formulas, let me know and I can go through those with you. Next slide. I believe this is an important slide for the community to understand all the steps that go into the levy before it even gets to the school board. So step 1, the county assessor has to assess each property. From that point, moving on to step 2, the legislature then sets the rates for the taxes or for the various classifications. So you got residential, commercial, agricultural, and so on. From there, the county auditor then calculates net tax capacity. In step 3, step 4, then the legislature sets the maximum amounts for each category for school districts. And then step 5, MDE calculates our levy limitation reports, the maximum amounts we're allowed to levy. And then step 6 is where the school board steps in and either says we want to levy the maximum amount we're allowed to or a lesser amount. And then step 7, the county auditor goes through the collections process. Next slide. This one's a little hard to understand, but I would recommend focusing on the red. It's trying to illustrate the processes of the business office. So looking at red, which would be the current fiscal year, the superintendent and the finance director start out the levy process in August of 2024 for the current school year. And December 2024 would be when that levy's finalized. Pretty much right after that, they would have started developing the budget for the current fiscal year. And then that would get ultimately board approved in June of 2025. And then we operate in our normal school year in the top there. And then at June 30th, 2026 would be obviously the end of the fiscal year. And we would start the audit process in July of 26 for the current school year. Just a point of note, August and September is an extremely busy time for the business office. You can see there's 3 different colors in that time of the year. So we're operating in 3 fiscal years at that point. Next slide, please. From here, we're going to transition into the current year budget, a real high level overview of it. Next slide. As Craig said earlier, we operate using fund accounting. I'm going to focus on our bigger funds, just as Craig did. The general fund is used to account for the normal operations of the school district. Revenue is primarily based off of student enrollment. It's used to account for regular instruction, custodial maintenance, transportation, normal operational type things. Next slide, please. The food service fund is another big fund for us. It's used to account for our school breakfast and school lunch programs. And the other big fund would be community service, which is does have a levy component, but it's primarily a fees for service fund. Supposed to be self-sustaining. That houses our community enrichment activities, early childhood programs, adult basic education, and lots of activities going on in the community service fund. The debt service fund is used to account for our debt service payments. Next slide. This slide here is comparing those 4 funds, fiscal year 25 actuals to fiscal year 26 budget amounts. This is the adopted budget that was approved in June. As Bob stated, I am working on a revised budget that will bring in January. So at least currently, the general fund budget is projected to be down 3.5% for revenues. The food service is projected to be down 13%, and the community service fund is expected to be down 21%. Debt service down 8%. So our total budget for those 4 funds is projected to be down 5%. I do anticipate some changes for the revised budget in all of those funds. I feel most of those budgeted estimates are very conservative. Next slide. Where do we spend our money? Where do our revenues come from? 73% almost comes from state aids. The next biggest category, 21% in local levies. School districts in Minnesota are very sensitive to what happens in St. Paul. So we're monitoring any potential cuts at the state level when it comes to school finance. School districts in Minnesota are not able to levy their way out of financial problems, at least not without voter approval. And even then, there are limits to what we can ask the taxpayers for. Next slide. All right, moving on to general fund or expenditures for those same 4 funds. General fund expenditures are projected to be up 7%, food service up 2%, community service down 18%, and debt service down 10%. So overall, with those 4 funds, our expenditures are projected to be up about 4.6%. Again, those will be revised in January to reflect more accurate estimates. Next slide. Looking at where we, similar information you just heard from Craig, where do we spend our general fund money? You can see our biggest category is regular instruction, followed by special education. If you combine regular instruction, vocational, special education, and instructional support services, that is 69% towards direct instruction. And if you include pupil support services in that, that is our almost 80%, like Craig stated earlier. So majority of the money in the general fund is going towards pupil support, which is what you want to see. Next slide. Looking at the general fund expenditure budget. We're a service organization, so the majority of our general fund budget goes towards salaries and benefits, which for us is our budget. It was 65% of our general fund budget goes towards salaries and wages. The next biggest category there is purchase services. And the 2 primary expenditures in the purchase service categories are going to be transportation and Goodhue County Ed District services. Next slide. Looking at our fund balances, similar to what you heard from Craig earlier, our unassigned fund balance category is sitting at about 7.8 million. That is the primary factor for determining a district's financial health. We are sitting well with our fund balance there. Looking at some of the other big fund balance components, basic skills at 1.1 million. We have a little bit of a nest egg if the folks in St. Paul decide that's a budget cut area. So that we should be able to maintain programming in that area for the long term. And then long-term facility maintenance, we're sitting in a good spot with 1.2 million. Just keep in mind with LTFM, long-term facility maintenance, it's deferred maintenance projects, not new construction. It has to be like for like type items. Can't go build a new school with that money. Next slide. Points to remember with the levy in that very first 4 bullets, I think are very important that everyone understands. This is taxes payable for calendar year 2026. School district will recognize that levy as revenue in fiscal year 27. So there's a bit of a lag with the levy with school districts. And then the bottom bullets there, how does a levy change? Either through, or how does a levy increase? Either through voter approved levies or state mandated changes. Next slide. And just some factors that can impact the levy. Changes in sales ratios. So they try to adjust for changes in what the assessed value is and what houses are actually selling for. That ratio can change from year to year. Changes in tax capacity, rate structure, or laws mandating, really any mandates on the school district could change the levy. Or when you look at voter-approved building bonds or voter-approved excess operating funds. Next slide. Again, kind of go over some factors that could impact an individual property's taxes. Inflationary pressures on the real estate market. We all experienced that, 2-3 years ago even. Abatements could have a significant impact. Property improvements not previously taxed. And property classification changes. If you move to Texas and Minnesota is no longer your primary resident, you're going to get a classification change. Next slide. Where does our levy go? 77% goes to the general fund, 6% to the community service fund, and 17% to the debt service fund. Next slide. So this is a comparison of pay 26 to pay 25. You can see our total proposed levy in pay 26 is $10,220,164.29. That is a decrease of 1.61%, which is primarily driven by a reduction in our estimate for student enrollment. Next slide. This is going over some of the major levy components and how they changed. You can see on the bottom there that has the same reduction as the previous slide. Nothing too surprising there. Again, a lot of it's driven by student enrollment. Next slide. Again, we're gonna beat this to death, but what could cause a change in property taxes, market value changes, tax credits, voter approved referendums, those types of things. Next slide. And again, we're gonna beat it to death, but what could cause increases or decreases in an individual's property taxes, value changes, those types of things. Next slide. And then this is the last slide of the presentation. Don't necessarily have to use the resolution here as it's presented, but I do need the dollar amount stated specifically, which is $10,220,164.29. Beyond that, I'll open it up for questions.
Just a couple questions here. The debt service, is there any advantage to pay some of that down? And secondly, I think you answered it already, but the taxes collected from property owners is from the tax levy and any approved voter referendums, correct?
Yes.
Any advantage or not disadvantage? I mean, you can think about it, you don't have to answer tonight, but just curious what,
By and large, there really isn't any advantage to paying down those bonds or that debt early.
There might be a unique situation every now and again, but nothing that for us currently.
Thank you.
I hear a couple things like a lot of compounding impacts. Like you said, our school revenue is down 5%, but our expenses are going to be up 4%. So it's 9% delta right there. Similarly, like you decrease your student enrollment, then your levy goes down, and then your general fund's going to decrease, and that's always lagging, right? So I know we're sitting good with our general fund right now. How can we better forecast the impacts of those reductions in enrollment?
Declining enrollment is a crutch for school districts. There's no doubt about it, and it essentially revenues are going to be flat for the district. That's the way I'm looking at it. And expenditures, if you do nothing, probably go up 5%, maybe a little bit more even. So two things for the January meeting. We'll have the revised budget, so we'll have better estimates. I think the budget was very conservative when it was developed. And then two, we'll have the projection model that we'll use along with the enrollment projection. And I can walk through what those look like and how we can use them to try and plan. The district has done a fabulous job of developing the budget around declining enrollment. So we're in a good spot.
One last question or comment. You mentioned that 73% of our revenue comes from state aid. But with the volatility in the legislature, what's like the lowest you've ever really seen from state aid?
I don't know,
In the last
overall-
20 years.
Overall percentage, it's kind of hard to say. There's been times where, due to, budget crisis in the state where they've delayed payments, so we end up having to carry some funds until you end up going forward. Districts that did not have sufficient fund balance then typically had to do what was called aid anticipated borrowing. So then you have interest rates or interest costs and things that go along with those. Right now, the way the legislature is within the basic formula, where it's built in between 2 and 3% on the formula each year. Now, the legislature, if they want to, they can come into that and they can eliminate that provision. In which case, because there's been years where the districts have gotten zero.
Yep.
You end up with no additional revenue despite changes in your costs. As far as overall percentage there, that's kind of tough to say. The other thing is, there's other pieces there that impact, like special ed funding. They're looking at some different categorical pieces within special ed funding that are probably going to get clawed back by the state. So I think the revenues are probably going to be down there. So everybody sits and we make our best guess at this point, but until legislature shows up. And unfortunately, the way they get it done, we don't find that out until June. This last year it was July.
Yep.
So makes it kind of hard to budget sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Any further questions? All right, thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Chris, we're going to go this step tight.
You got to ask the public if anybody wants to speak.
So at this point, is there anyone that has any questions for the board?
Okay, levy, was that?
So, with the levy, we're gonna approve the levy. That has to get done, so we'll get into that, so that's a separate.
Do you have a motion to close the hearing?
No.
Not after the levy, we're still on the.
Yeah, leave it, so you don't have to have a motion.
So, yeah, this is gonna be about the final levy, vote to approve that, so do you have any comments on final levy then?
yeah, beyond that, it's going down the 1.61%. It's yeah, nothing real exciting with it.
So the big thing is the levy needs to be approved in the exact amount that was listed there. So it's 10,240,000. So do I have a motion to approve the? So I want a motion to approve the final levy at that specific.
Yes.
Can we have the amount?
It was on the slide.
Do I have it up on my computer?
You can have Lisa pull the slide back up.
Yeah. Did you throw it up, Lisa? Grab my copy. $10,220,164.29.
So do I have a motion to approve the levy for the amount of $10,220,164 $29.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Schultz,
Second.
second by Ms. Tibbs. All right, Jeremy?
Aye.
Therese?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jim? Aye. Kayla?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. Resolution passes. Good, thank you, Gary.
Yes.
All right, now we're on the final reading of policy 707 with the revision.
So this is the one, the care and treatment provision. So we've gone over this a couple of times, so it's my recommendation that we approve the adjustment policy 717 as has been presented.
I move to approve the final reading of policy 707.
Moved by, motion by Jeremy Koenig, seconded by Caitlin Anderson. Any discussion on this policy? All right, Therese?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Kayla?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
And I will support aye. Resolution for policy 707 passes. All right, now we're up to a closed session. So, do I have a motion to approve the closed session?
Yes.
So moved by Ms. Schultz, second by Mr. Koenig. Let's do a roll call. Jennifer?
Aye.
Jim? Aye. Kayla?
Aye.
Jeremy? Aye. Therese?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll vote aye. And so, we are in closed session. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.